Is that if you are going to amend your zoning code has to be compatible with your existing comp plan. So if an amendment is being proffered that requires an amendment to the comprehensive plan first, you'll have to do that. I don't know, sitting here tonight, whether that's going to be true or not.
Nor do I, but I think it's important.
Answer this by saying we're hearing from advocates. Attorneys have two roles in life. One is to advise their client, and these guys are lucky. They get to do it privately. I don't get to do it privately. I have to do it publicly.
Ms. Stroud.
And then, excuse me?
Ms. Stroud. I remember Ms. Stroud instructed us that she thought our comp plan needed.
Let me get there.
Okay.
Let me get there. So there is the advocate who takes a position because that's what the commission, that's the position the client wants to take, and then privately the lawyer's whispering in their ear, you're out of your mind, or this is what you should be doing. You're seeing the advocates. And it all depends, as we said earlier, what you're trying to do in terms of your comprehensive plan. If you want to make it more specific, then obviously, well, I think it's obvious, that the future land use element needs to be modified to be more specific as to what the future of the town is. It's not specific now. I think it's done by design to give the latitude to the commission. The commission, if you look at the history of the comp plans, as you have, and I know you have, is a very specific comp plan in '84. You had another specific comp plan in '89, and then in '86, '87, 96, '97, the town backed off that very specific comp plan and went to a more general philosophy, which was again embodied in the 2007 comp plan, and that has served the town well. But we're in a new, I think we're in a new position today, position that was not contemplated in '96. Which puts different pressures on us, and the question is, how do you wish to respond?
May I ask you further clarification on that? It was my reading of these comp plans that the first two we spoke about were at times of expansion on the island. There were definite growth issues and an idea of where the community should go. I believe in '96, when was the last, before the 2007, when was the last?
97.
97. That they felt that the island was, in fact, built out, and that there was not a need for being as specific as there had been because there were no more parcels of land to be built out.
In '84 and '89, the town had a very specific mind, and that mind was to regulate heavily the future land use of this town. They wanted, this town was going to be, in their view, a residential community with sort of minor tourist elements to that residential community. That was what we'll call the '84 vision. And this town, you think these are bad, this town fought wars which were really significant in the late '70s, early '80s to get to that position. And what they did is that's how they locked that density in stone by putting it in the comp plan, because they didn't want it be easy for the future commissioners to change it. You know, they fought so hard, they put that in the comp plan, and that's why it's still there. 26 years later, it's still there. '90s was different. The '90s came along, and the town at the time, in the mid-'90s, and some of you may remember this, was of the opinion we didn't need a comp plan. We were built out. We're done. We're over. Nobody's talking about redevelopment. It was 15 years ago, and nothing needed to be, quote, redeveloped. Everything was still pretty fresh and pretty new. I remember sitting here and having a conversation with your forebears, talking about petitioning the legislature to change the laws to allow you not to have a comp plan. So it was on that backdrop that the '97 comp plan was adopted. It was adopted by, it was a very minimalist, hands-off document, and that's the document you've embodied. The document you've inherited today. Whether it still serves the town in that capacity, that's your decision. And it's, as someone said here, it's a big policy decision, and it is a big policy decision. But that's something you're going to have to wrestle with at some point in time in the next, I would think, the next year or two.
That leads me to my question. Who decides what that future land use policy is if we're in a rebuild mode? Is it the Planning and Zoning Board, or is it the commissioners, or is it the residents?
Right here. All of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above, in the sense that it needs to be, in my view, it needs to be understood that they are the local planning agency. It has to go through them, and they're the ones who conduct the hearings and make the recommendation. But you need to be involved, if not to start the process, then at least to be involved as to what the process should look like, and be involved, and you are ultimately involved with the decision making as to what that comp plan is going to look like if you're amending the comp plan.
if we don't set the tone, what is the planning and zoning board and staff to do but to operate on what is, what they see before them factually and so forth? I guess, is it our position here, can we say to them, by the way, whatever you do, be forward-looking?
Well, but back up, you've got a great point. I think that one of the things I hear is great criticism about some of the town staff of being too difficult. And all the town staff is doing is taking your existing code and applying it. And your existing code in a lot of areas is difficult. I mean, it was designed to be, all honesty. So the only philosophy, the only policy that the town staff can follow is that which is written. And if you want to change that policy and philosophy, you need to make changes to that. You have, as Bruce always teases me, but you have the pen in your hand, you can make that. And to a little bit of a degree, that's what Mr. Patterson's asking for tonight. He's asking for what he considers to be sort of minor, what I would call tweaks to the organization, but he's asking you to tinker with the policy to make it more, in my words, more acceptable, more accepting to the plan that's being proffered to you.
Who and when sets the tone going forward?
Well, the elected officials would be my choice to answer, would be the choice to lead the charge.
Which leads me to, do we need further discussion about what we're doing here to decide if we want to set a tone to allow the commission, to allow the P&Z to operate with a little more latitude than we might be willing